In the quiet town of Belgrave, Pennsylvania, 1882, the townsfolk awoke to a chilling revelation. Martha Cooperfield, the elegant, intelligent, and highly respected wife of Mayor Jonathan Cooperfield, was found dead in her rose garden. But this wasn't just a tragic death, it was a message. And what Martha knew may have been the very reason she was silenced. Title card: Transition: The Mysterious Murder of Martha Cooperfield, 1882. The Mayor's Wife Who Knew Too Much. Part 1. Who was Martha Cooperfield? 0:45 to 2 o'clock. Martha Cooperfield wasn't just the mayor's wife. Born Martha Elaine Whitmore in 1847, she came from a wealthy family of bankers in Philadelphia, well-read, fiercely articulate, and politically sharp. She quickly became a behind-the-scenes force in Belgrave's growing political machine, but it was her marriage to Jonathan Cooperfield, a rising political star, that gave her true influence. Locals said she knew everything that went on in town, sometimes even before it happened. Behind her velvet gowns and garden parties, Martha had access to documents, meetings, and secrets, and by 1882 she had a secret of her own, one that would cost her everything. Part 2. The day of the murder, 2 o'clock to 3:45. On the morning of September 3, 1882, the townspeople reported a scream from the Cooperfield estate. Around 6:30 a.m., a maid, Elizabeth Hargrove, discovered Martha's body sprawled beneath the rose trellis. She had been strangled. No signs of forced entry, no blood, just silence and a single black feather resting near her right hand. Her husband, the mayor, claimed to have been asleep upstairs the entire night. The house staff saw and heard nothing, or so they claimed. Within hours, the mayor's mansion was swarming with lawmen, journalists, and whispers. The official report called it a targeted burglary gone wrong, but Belgrave wasn't convinced. Part 3. What did she know? 3:45 to 5:30. In the weeks before her death, Martha had grown distant. Close friends noted she had begun keeping a private journal. She was asking questions about the town's rail expansion plans, a project that had already made a handful of men, including her husband, very wealthy. More curiously, Martha had made several visits to the Belgrave asylum. Whispers say she spoke to a former city clerk who had been committed after claiming to have uncovered a bribery scandal involving city officials and a planned land seizure. Days before her murder, she reportedly sent a sealed letter to a Philadelphia newspaper. That letter was never recovered. Some believe Martha was preparing to expose the entire operation, a web of corruption, kickbacks, and blackmail that stretched all the way to the state capitol. Part 4. Suspects and cover-ups, 5:30 to 7:15. The investigation was riddled with problems. The coroner's report was delayed for weeks. Key witnesses like the maid mysteriously disappeared. The mayor, re-elected the following year by a landslide, after funding the campaign of the sheriff who closed the case. Whispers pointed at 3 possible suspects. Mayor Jonathan Cooperfield himself, caught between a wife with too much knowledge and political allies demanding silence. Councilman Ezra Bell, a known enemy of Martha, whose land deal was allegedly blocked by her influence. An unknown man in black seen near the estate 2 nights prior, according to a stable boy. Yet no one was ever arrested. No charges, no justice. Part 5. The legacy and lingering mystery, 7:15 to 8:30. Decades passed. Belgrave grew. New mayors came and went, but the story of Martha Cooperfield never left. Her garden was bulldozed in 1927. A shopping plaza stands there now, but locals still talk of the woman in white seen at dusk among the bushes. In 1981, a historian uncovered fragments of a scorched diary in a locked trunk at a local museum. Initial analysis showed it contained names and transactions. The diary vanished 2 weeks later. No one knows where it went or who took it. To this day the question remains, what did Martha Cooperfield know, and who was willing to kill to keep her silent? Otro 8:30. Thank you for watching. If you believe history leaves clues in its silence, subscribe for more forgotten mysteries like this one, and tell us in the comments, what do you think happened to Martha Cooperfield? Cue dark, vintage music fade out. They called her the First Lady of Belgrave. Elegant, intelligent, feared by some, admired by others. But on the foggy morning of September 3, 1882, Martha Cooperfield, wife of Mayor Jonathan Cooperfield, was found dead in her garden. The official story: a burglary gone wrong. The whispers that she knew too much and someone silenced her is the forgotten murder that haunted a town and may still hold secrets to this day. The mysterious murder of Martha Cooperfield, the mayor's wife who knew too much. Part 1. A Lady with Influence, 1 o'clock to 2:45, black and white. Photo effect with soft violin music. Martha Elaine Whitmore was no ordinary woman. Born in 1847 into a wealthy Philadelphia banking family, she was raised with privilege, power, and purpose. Fluent in French, well-read in law and philosophy, and fiercely involved in civic reform, Martha married rising politician Jonathan Cooperfield. At the age of 29, an unusually late marriage for the era. In Belgrave, a small but growing town in Pennsylvania, Martha quickly earned a reputation as more than just the mayor's wife. She organized educational programs, advised on infrastructure, planning, and attended nearly every city council meeting, seated quietly in the back, always listening. But some said she knew too much. Others said she asked too many questions. Part 2. The final days, 2:45 to 4:30. In the summer of 1882, something changed. Witnesses recall Martha appearing withdrawn. She stopped hosting dinners. She skipped meetings. She began visiting the town archives, requesting ledgers from the city controller's office. She even made unannounced visits to the asylum on the edge of town. According to nurse records, she met a former city clerk named Nathaniel Price, a man who claimed to have uncovered evidence of corruption, forged contracts, illegal land acquisitions, and bribes tied to the new rail line running through Belgrave. Weeks before her death, Martha reportedly confronted her husband behind closed doors, a confrontation loud enough for the staff to overhear. "If you don't put an end to this," she was heard shouting, "I will." Part 3. The night before, 4:30 to 6:30. September 2, 1882, Martha dined alone. Her husband claimed he had meetings at the courthouse late into the night. According to household staff, Martha retired to her quarters around 10:30 p.m. A stable boy named Oliver Thomas later reported seeing a strange man in a long black coat near the eastern garden wall just after midnight. At dawn, maid Elizabeth Hargrove entered the rose garden and found Martha's lifeless body lying face up under the trellis. No wounds, no blood, just a single black feather in her hand. No signs of a struggle, no valuables taken, only a note folded in her apron pocket, torn and illegible except for 3 words: "They know everything." Part 4. The investigation, 6:30 to 8:30. Sheriff Henry Ballard opened an investigation, but it quickly went cold. The coroner delayed the autopsy. The gardener who saw a shadowy figure was later committed to the asylum. The black feather, lost during evidence handling, and the mayor, he resumed public appearances just 2 weeks after the funeral. He was never formally questioned. What made things worse? Martha's private journal, the one she reportedly carried everywhere, was gone. Vanished. Local journalist Daniel Mays tried to investigate. He was found unconscious in his office with a severe head injury. When he awoke, his notes were missing. The sheriff closed the case by fall. No suspect, no crime, accidental death. Part 5. Suspects and secrets to 8:30 to 10:15. Over the years, 3 suspects emerged in popular theories. Mayor Jonathan Cooperfield, Martha's husband. Known for his temper and political ambition, he had motive. Martha threatened to expose his dealings, and the power to bury the truth. Ezra Bell, wealthy industrialist, councilman, and a vocal enemy of Martha's reforms. His company benefited most from the Belgrave Rail project. Martha had reportedly blocked one of his largest land acquisitions. The man in black, an unidentified stranger seen by multiple witnesses in the days before the murder, possibly a hired hand, or a warning sent too late. Part 6. A shocking discovery, 10:15 to 11:30. In 1981, nearly a century later, Belgrave historian Lydia Moore uncovered a scorched trunk in the attic of the town library. Inside, torn pages from a leather-bound journal believed to be Martha's. One entry read, "The land they're taking isn't for the town, it's for power. I fear what Jonathan has become." 2 weeks later, the journal was stolen. Security footage disabled. The case was never reopened. Part 7. Legacy of a silenced woman, 11:30 to 12:30. Martha Cooperfield was buried in Belgrave Cemetery under a simple headstone. Beloved wife. Fierce heart. Some say she was a victim of politics, others say she was too clever, too dangerous, too outspoken for the men of her time, and a few believe her spirit still walks the garden at dusk, searching for her lost truth. OUTRO, 12:30 Andiri. Piano fades in. What was in that missing journal? Why was the investigation shut down? And what happened to the letter Martha sent to the Philadelphia press that never arrived? You decide. Was it a tragic death, or a perfectly planned silencing? Subscribe. For more forgotten mysteries, and tell us in the comments. In the annals of small-town tragedies, few stories remain as haunting or as deliberately buried as the mysterious death of Martha Cooperfield. She wasn't just the mayor's wife, she was the mind behind the curtain. And in 1882 she uncovered something she was never meant to see. Her murder shook the town of Belgrave, but no one was ever arrested, and the truth vanished, until now. On screen, the mysterious murder of Martha Cooperfield, the mayor's wife who knew too much. Chapter 1. The lady behind the power. 1:20 to 3:30 visual. Faded photos of wealthy women, newspaper clippings, old Belgrave buildings. Martha Whitmore Cooperfield was no stranger to influence. Daughter of financier Charles Whitmore, her Philadelphia upbringing was filled with books, debates, and privilege. When she married Jonathan Cooperfield, a young lawyer with political ambitions, Martha didn't fade into the background like most women of her time. She amplified her husband's rise, drafting speeches, hosting salons for influential men, and challenging Belgrave's rigid power structures. Quoted from letter voiceover. Female: I do not wish to stand behind my husband. I wish to stand beside him, or not at all. Letter to her sister, 1876. Some saw her as a visionary, others a manipulator. Either way, no decision in Belgrave was made without her knowing. Chapter 2. The Hidden Scandal. 3:30 to 6 o'clock. In 1882, Belgrave was on the verge of transformation with the expansion of the Belgrave-York Railway and the development of West Pine Ridge. But the deals behind the scenes weren't as clean as they appeared. Leaked documents later confirmed by modern historians show that for major land deals were approved without council votes, involving massive payouts to shell companies connected to the mayor and to councilmen. Martha, known for her keen accounting skills, reportedly noticed the discrepancy in tax records. Quoted from diary. Female whisper, reverb effect, he lied. To me, they all did. The land was never meant for schools or rail. It was to be sold back to Belgrave at 3 times the price. She began investigating quietly, methodically, even visiting the town asylum to speak with Nathaniel Price, the former records clerk who had been committed after blowing the whistle. Chapter 3. The Final Warning. To 6 o'clock to 8:30 visual. Candles burning low, a feather on a desk, letter being sealed according to close friend Catherine Mallory. Martha was planning to go public. She had written a detailed letter with names, dates, and figures, addressed to the Philadelphia Sentinel. She never mailed it. 2 nights before her death, she attended a formal dinner with the mayor and town elites. Eyewitnesses said she barely touched her food. On the carriage ride home, she whispered something chilling to her driver. Recreated dialogue. If I disappear, know that I tried. That was the last night she was seen alive. Chapter 4. The Murder. 8:30 to 10:30. At 6:31 a.m. on September 3, 1882, Elizabeth Hargrove, a maid, found Martha's body beneath the garden trellis. The cause of death: strangulation. No defensive wounds, no forced entry, no valuables missing. But on her person, a burnt scrap of paper in her apron, and a black feather, a symbol later connected to the secretive Order of the Bell, a local fraternity of businessmen and politicians rumored to enforce town loyalty. Was it a warning, a calling card, a ritual? Chapter 5. The Cover-Up. 10:30 to 12:30 visual. Crossed-out newspaper clippings, bribery ledgers, sealed envelopes. The official inquest declared it a botched robbery, but townsfolk weren't convinced. The coroner's notes were never released. The witness, Oliver Thomas, the stable boy, vanished weeks later, believed to have run away. The sealed journal, gone. The only thing that remained was the Order of the Bell, which quietly gained influence after Martha's death. Several of its members were later elected to higher office. Even more damning, in 1914, a sealed file labeled M. Cooperfield, Priority, contained was found in the cellar of the Belgrave Sheriff's Office, and was immediately confiscated by federal officials. The case was never reopened. Chapter 6. Ghosts and Legends. 12:30 to 14 o'clock. Over the years, locals began reporting strange phenomena in the garden ruins where Martha died. Flickering lantern lights at night, whispering voices under the trellis, the smell of rosewater, her favorite scent. In 1973, a paranormal team recorded what they claimed was a faint whisper caught on tape, audio transcription, static fade-in. Not robbery, betrayal. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the tragedy of Martha Cooperfield is real. A woman silenced, story buried beneath bribes, secrets, and fear. Chapter 7. Final Theory. 14 o'clock to 15:30. Here's what modern researchers believe. Martha discovered illegal land deals involving the mayor and other elites. She was planning to expose them via the press, Someone close, possibly even her husband, arranged for her silence. Her death was staged as a robbery, but the feather was a message to others who might speak out, whether it was the Order of the Bell, corrupt city officials, or even a secret society. One thing is clear, Martha was silenced not by accident but by design. Outro her legacy. Kingsley Trintanger, she wasn't just a wife or a victim. She was a force. That's how Catherine Mallory described her in her 1904 memoir. Today, Martha Cooperfield remains a symbol of courage and the price of truth in a world of lies. What do you believe happened? Was she betrayed by her husband, or by the town she tried to save? If this mystery gripped you, subscribe for more deep dives into history's most chilling unsolved crimes, and leave your thoughts in the comments, because sometimes the people know more than the records do. The official mourning period in Belgrave lasted just 3 days. Mayor Jonathan Cooperfield gave no public eulogy, no statement. Instead, he doubled down on town development efforts, fast-tracking rail expansions and land auctions within weeks of Martha's death. According to personal staff, the mayor removed all photos of Martha from the house before Christmas. Quote, from Servant's Diary 1882, he burned her letters in the fireplace. I saw them myself. He said nothing as he watched the flames. The town, fearful or complicit, moved on. Chapter 9. The Cooperfield Line, 1730 to 1845. Martha and Jonathan Cooperfield had no children. So the records say. But in a 1967 interview, retired midwife Anne Whitlow claimed that Martha gave birth in 1879 in secret to a daughter named Lillian. Lillian was reportedly sent to live with extended family in Virginia under an assumed surname. Redacted letter found excerpt. She cannot grow up in this house. It is not safe. The men who smile at her will one day destroy her. Could this lost child, Lillian Cooperfield, be a hidden heir to Martha's legacy? Genealogy researchers attempted to trace Lillian's bloodline. One name surfaced. Iris Vale, a 72-year-old professor in Boston who claims to be Martha's great-granddaughter. Iris has refused interviews, but in 2014 she posted one cryptic blog entry. We don't need the journal to know what happened. My family has carried the truth long enough. Chapter 10. The Missing Testimony, 1845 to 20 o'clock. In 1991, Belgrave University's Historical Society uncovered an unsigned affidavit buried in a mislabeled city archive box. The document, dated 1883, describes a meeting of powerful men, 1 week before Martha's death, in the upper room of Belgrave Lodge. The affidavit alleges a vote was taken to preserve the town's unity by silencing the internal threat. The threat was identified as MEC Martha Elaine Cooperfield. A man was hired, described only as the Raven. Was this Raven the man in the black coat seen near the garden, or just a symbolic moniker of the Order of the Bell? The affidavit disappeared 3 days after its discovery. The only remaining trace is a photograph, blurred and yellowed, of a gloved hand holding the paper. Chapter 11. Modern Day. The unsolved case that won't die. 20 o'clock to 21:30, over 140 years later. Martha Cooperfield's case remains unsolved, but it's far from cold. Internet forums, Reddit threads, and amateur sleuth circles have formed around the case, piecing together timelines, suspect trees, and ritual codes used by the Order of the Bell. In 2023, a group of historical true crime podcasters attempted to film on the Cooperfield estate site, now a municipal building. They were shut down by city officials citing security concerns. One crew member claims they were followed back to their hotel by an unmarked car. When asked why this story still matters, one historian said it best, QUOTE on screen, because corruption never dies, it just changes shape. Martha's story didn't end, it was paused. Until now. Epilogue. Martha's lasting shadow, 2130 end. Martha Cooperfield may not have lived to expose the truth, but her story endures. A woman ahead of her time, a mind too sharp for her era, a voice silenced, but never truly gone, because history may bury facts, but it never forgets whispers. Final call to action. Revise. Think you've found a clue we missed? Know something about the Order of the Bell? Comment below. Your insight might uncover what they've spent over a century hiding. Subscribe for more lost cases, forbidden history, and the voices that never got justice. In 1882, paper and ink were basic tools of communication, but for those wishing to silence voices permanently, they may have become tools of death. A theory. The mysterious murder of Martha Cooperfield, 1882, the mayor's wife who knew too much. emerged in 2009 after a forensic archivist, Dr. Lucas Rensley, examined a surviving note written by Martha days before her death. Under ultraviolet light, traces of arsenic trioxide were detected in the ink. Why does this matter? Arsenic ink poisoning was a little-known method of targeted murder. The chemical absorbed through the skin or inhaled during writing. It caused confusion, fatigue, and ultimately, cardiac failure or susceptibility to fainting. Martha had reportedly complained of dizziness and hand tremors before she died. Was she poisoned slowly by the very truth she was trying to write? Chapter 13, The Doppelganger Theory. 23:30 to 25 minutes and 0 seconds. This is where the story takes a turn into the strange. In 1886, 4 years after her death, a woman entered a Belgrave post office asking to collect Mrs. M. Cooperfield's sealed package. She wore a veil and spoke softly, with what one witness described as Martha's exact voice. When the clerk hesitated, the woman left, and was never seen again. Two questions arise. Was this Martha somehow alive? Or was this someone impersonating her to retrieve something she left behind? Theories suggest Martha may have staged her death to escape political assassination and live under a new identity. Fitched, perhaps, but her body was reportedly buried in a closed casket. No town record confirms viewing the remains. And one signature from 1883 in a hotel guestbook in Boston appears to read, "MEC free at last." Chapter 14, The Order of the Bell, still alive, 25 minutes and 0 seconds to 27 minutes and 0 seconds. The most persistent shadow cast over this entire mystery is the Order of the Bell, a secretive society founded in Belgrave in 1859. Publicly, they were a fraternal club of landowners and businessmen. Privately, they were gatekeepers of power. Members included judges, newspaper editors, and every Belgrave mayor between 1865 and 1902. Their motto, to protect what builds us. In 1882, Martha was reportedly petitioning to investigate the order's use of public funds. 2 weeks later she was dead. Today, the order no longer appears in public records, but a building in downtown Belgrave still bears its seal, a bell surrounded by a serpent. Their meeting logs, never released. And most chillingly, in 2021, a digital leak revealed a private investment group registered in Belgrave under the name OB Holdings Ltd. The board includes judges, real estate tycoons, even a state senator. Coincidence, or the latest mask worn by an ancient power? Chapter 15, The Symbol Code, 27 minutes and 0 seconds to 28 minutes and 30 seconds. In the journal Fragments attributed to Martha recovered in 1981, researchers noticed a strange pattern. At the corner of each page was a small hand-drawn symbol, sometimes a leaf, a bell, a triangle, or an eye. Cryptologists now believe this was a symbol cipher, a language possibly used to record names or meetings in secret without leaving a paper trail. When decoded, one page reads, 1 betrayed, 3 paid. The serpent speaks, no dawn for me. Some believe this was Martha's final confession. Others say it was a warning for those who came after her. Chapter 16, Loose Threads and Unsolved Questions, 28 minutes and 30 seconds, and to this day, none of the following have ever been found. Martha's full journal, the original sealed letter to the Philadelphia Sentinel, the Raven's identity, the contents of the M. Cooperfield priority contained files seized by the government in 1914, and now you have to ask, was Martha the first casualty in a war of control still being fought in silence? Does her bloodline still carry secrets powerful enough to ruin lives today? And is there someone, somewhere, still protecting what she tried to destroy? The final word. Dark piano returns. Black screen with white text. They killed the woman, they buried her name, but they couldn't bury the truth, because it keeps coming back in symbols, in stories. In whispers carried on the Pennsylvania wind. If you've made it this far, you're part of this investigation now. Drop your theories in the comments. Was it the mayor? The order? A faked death? Like, subscribe. And remember, some secrets don't die, they wait.